Welcome everyone to the Risen Esports Dominate Open League Season 6, Week 1. I'm John Run. Here with me casting today is Switch. On the production side of things, we have Rando Joe. We are here with Team 12 and Team Right Click facing off in the first week of Season 6 Risen Esports. How you doing, Switch?
Pretty good. It feels like forever, you know? And now we're finally back here and we just started up all over again. And a couple of familiar faces, like we actually mentioned it before, but Solbert here in the lineup was, of course, in the finals, and now all the way back over here. The boy has returned.
That's right. He's returned as not a world champion, but
close.
Esports
It's
champion.
close.
And he's got that crown to uphold here. So in week one, we'll see how this new squad here, the pick and ban is underway. It looks like we got a lot of mages coming up.
Yeah, and definitely a couple of picks at the opponent's champion pools. I mean, Zoe and Zyra, definitely a lot of experience on those champions coming out from Team 12, so seeing those banned out. Poppy, Vel'Koz, Vladimir on the other side, and Vladimir has been sort of tearing up in competitive and in solo queue, just able to melt down backlines, has great laning phase, and whoa, these pick and bans are going through, so let me catch up here. Nami, actually first picked here, and pretty sure this is because it's actually in the shared pool of the supports on both sides, so going to secure that, and that's going to help the laning phase of TRC's AD carry. And J4, very solid jungler as well, picked up over here.
Yeah, and to me that Nami pick, I think is like you said, more so the denial to TRC. And we know that Focus, she plays Nami very, very well, one of her most played champions, and so they banned out Zyra. TRC did themselves, so now Zyra and Nami, two of their top champions, are gone. Did pick up the Soraka there.
Yep, Soraka now going to be picked up for Team Right Click, and Soraka and Nami both healing enchanter support, so I think we're going to see a relatively tame early game. And this, you actually mentioned, Vayne, you're completely right, has been on a tear ever since like the crit changes actually came out. Like I think she's risen and she's rising more and more in popularity. Rek'Sai as well, one of the beneficiaries of the Conqueror changes. Conqueror is slightly nerfed, but Rek'Sai is still left in a good position, definitely tearing up solo queue as well, so I'm surprised to see them there. But Vayne with Nami, I think Nami's definitely going to help get the Vayne out of whatever lane she's going to be in, and definitely empower her as you get to the mid game when she's able to hit that 2-item spike. The Blade of the Ruined King and the Ginsu's going to be melting anyone in her way.
Yeah, absolutely. That 2-item spike cannot be understated. Just really, really strong pick. I'm really liking Team 12's draft so far. Is coming together. Like you said, they've got the Nami to help get that Vayne through the early part of the phase of that lane. But really, I don't think that she needs it with how strong she is right now. You can pretty much just blind pick her, and Team 12 essentially did. I mean, they picked her just knowing that it was a Soraka, which, that's not that intimidating. But they don't know what else that TRC might pick here, and that shows that just how strong this pick is. That you can pick it this early in the draft and not necessarily know what you're going to go up against, and that's okay. But they did pick up the Rek'Sai as well. Like you said, excellent power pick. I've been seeing a lot more out of the jungle here. As we get here into the second ban phase, looks like we got the Rising Camille, some top and mid lane bans being targeted here by Team Right Click, and final ban here by Team 12. Waiting to see what they will pick as their last ban. What are you expecting to see, Switch?
Well, could be the Urgot. I love it when people ask me as they highlight the ban, and I'm like, easy one, it's the Urgot.
Yeah, come on, just go.
Yeah, right? Yeah, pretty orthodox pick and ban phase here. They're obviously leaving the solo lanes up for the second pick phase. That's why we're seeing stuff like the Rise, the Camille, the Lissandra being banned out. Urgot, the last one. And Urgot, this is 9.6. Urgot did see a good amount of change. Now opting for a little more towards that Bruiser, that AD build, right? Because he has much better scaling. His tank was sort of toned down. They moved the shield over to the Charge, I believe. It's called Disdain. But either way, not going to see in this team, this game. So Sion picked up for Team Right Click over here, and well, so they decide to pick their top laner first. So the Right Click is definitely looking for a counter pick mid, and it's a Galleon that might be mid, which is relatively safe. I think usually people only play, like the biggest counter pick I can expect against the Galio would be maybe an AD assassin. So we might see a Zed pop up here depending on if the mid laner can play it for Team Right Click.
Yeah, what I will say is I like the Galio pick, but if there's one thing I'll knock Team 12 for in this draft, it's that I would have liked to have seen it drafted earlier. I know that they replaced a lot of priority on Nami. They didn't want to give that away to Team Right Click. The Galio is a great flex pick. You can pick it early on, and it could be support, it could be mid. You don't necessarily know. And they could have kind of held their cards a little bit because they picked the Nami so early. Now picking the Galio at this point, it tells you for sure that Galio is going to be.
Completely right. Yeah, and it's going to be the Gnar into the top lane. And there's the counter pick. It's actually going to be the Veigar. I'm not quite sure if, like, this sounds like a brutal lane for Galio to be in. Doesn't necessarily have any quick movements, so if you put him into a cage, it's going to be a very uncomfortable time. He has no blinks out or anything like that, so you could possibly set up a gank that way with the Veigar cage and then have your J4 come in, deal a lot of damage. And that's going to wrap it up for the pick and ban phase. So already putting my focus to the bot lane, I'm not sure if the Soraka and the Tristana are going to be able to shut down the Vayne Nami. Because Vayne, I don't think, will lack much of any damage compared to the Tristana. I would expect Right Click to be trying to look for early ganks or early all-ins just to get control of that lane bot.
Yeah, I would expect that as well, because if Team 12 is able to run away with this game, it's going to be bottom laners likely making some of that jungle pressure from the backside. I'm not expecting mid or top to run away with this game necessarily. And, you know, if there's one thing I'm looking at as far as this draft now that it's all been completed and the team compositions, what has me a little bit concerned for Team 12 is they don't really have a lot of super hard engage. You know, certainly you can throw the Galio ultimate on top of, you know, Rek'Sai who burrows in for the knockup. You know, you can use the Mega Gnar, but those are, I'd say, less reliable forms of engage when you compare it to the likes of Team Right Click, who have that Scion Unstoppable Onslaught, who have the Jarvan Flag and Drag, you know, with the Cataclysm.
Yeah.
I think those are much easier tools to use to be able to start off the fight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to completely agree with you there. And I've seen teams time and time again rely on Gnar, and they look at it on paper and they're like, well, there's our engage. Gnar is not engaged. Like, Gnar is almost completely dependent on his flash being up when it comes to that late game, when people are 5v5 sitting in front of each other and doing front-to-back team fighting. It's very hard for him to actually get the right ultimates in, and I think especially in the lower elos, in like the less organized play, it becomes even harder, right? Because flank TPs, we actually don't see too much of them at this at the more amateur levels of play. But either way, we'll have to see if Team 12 can get in. They do have great follow-up if they manage to find the right team fights, right? So you could make an argument, well, maybe they don't need to have a flash every team fight. Maybe they just need to find out one good team fight, you know? So Gnar comes in, and he uses ultimate, got the Galio right there to follow up, and you have Rek'Sai, who's going to be barreling down on that backliner, which could be the Soraka, could be the Tristana, or the Veigar.
You're absolutely right about that. Well, we're just waiting for the teams to go ahead and formally lock in their picks so that we can begin the countdown for expected play and get into this game one of this series. Switch, who do you think draft better? What are you expecting to take game one of the series?
You know, it's very tough because on one side, you're completely right. I think Right Click has a much better, well-rounded composition. On the other hand, you have Vayne and Rek'Sai on the side of Team 12, and Vayne just sort of tips the scale so much in the other direction, and it's so hard to pick from here. I would actually personally give it to Team 12 because I think they might just gain control and gain pressure off of having a better team fight, and that'll put them in better situations. I don't necessarily think they're going to find themselves in positions where they need engage, because I think they might just outright out-damage their opponents.
You know, I think I tend to agree with you. I think that T-Rex does have a better draft as well, a better team composition. But the bottom lane is a little bit questionable for me. Tristana Soraka, not quite sold on. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong, you know, and have great team phase, but Tristana's really not in that top tier of 80 carries.
Right.
With her crit changes, she hasn't really, you know, risen up to that level of, you know, S tier, and Soraka certainly not the type of Enchantress support we've seen for quite some time in the meta. So that is a really big question mark for me, for Team Right Click. Even though they have this great team fight composition with all these engage tools, that bottom lane is just, to me, I don't know where they can go with it.
Yeah, Tristana as an AD carry doesn't have as quick of a damage ramp up as the other AD carries, right? Because we can think about Vayne, we can think about Jinx, we can think about Kai'Sa, and they get started really quickly, right? Jinx only needs those 2 crit items, and it's already like insane for her as long as she gets rune ends, right? And then the Infinity Edge on top of that, her damage spikes up when in the right situations. And then of course Vayne, Kai'Sa, they depend on that Ginsu's. But Tristana just sort of relies on hitting that later game when she can rely on her large attack range. She can rely on her great escape and reset capability off of that. And we'll have to see if she can get going early. It'll definitely help if they can get going early. And if right click do start to take control of the game, like they have to engage, like you said, so they could definitely gain priority over objectives or pick the right team fights for themselves.
Great point switch. Well, we are going to go ahead and throw it over to a quick break. Players are all locked in with their picks, and we're just waiting for the play countdown. Stay tuned with us, and we'll be back with game one of this best of 3 series between Team 12 and Team White. Welcome back, everyone. We are here into Game 1 on the Rift, this game between Team 12 and Team Right Click. And I'm John. Right here with me is Switch casting today.
Welcome to Summoner's
Now that we're on the Rift, got a little stat for you all. Want to shout out from u.gg, since we have Nami in the game. Nami currently has a 52.43% win rate on patch 9.6. She's been picked in 19.3% of games. And although Focus was perhaps looking to pick that champ tonight, it was stolen away by Mama.
That's right. And Nami, very solid in lane. Like, I think that's one of the best parts about her is whatever trade is happening, as long as you ebb and flow and it bounces 3 times, you win the trade. It's actually somewhat frustrating. I have a sort of a hatred for her, but either way, when you pair her with someone with a weaker laning phase like the Vayne, I think it just overall ends up meshing well together. The Vayne ends up picking up all the CS that she needs to pick up and will get to those core items without a hitch.
Well, both teams so far just standard start, fanning out, protecting their interests to the jungles, but it looks like we do see jungler starting on the top side for Team Right Click, whereas Hopeseeker opting to start on the bottom side and get that leash from the platform.
Overall, so we're going to see Tristana and Soraka hopefully getting lane priority here by being up a couple minions. So they will have that window perhaps for a level 2 all-in. We'll have to see. But like we were talking about in the prep, yeah, Tristana needs to gain control of this lane and gain control of it very early, because as the game goes on, Vayne will scale better and better and better and better. And I think even when you're at level 18, I think I might still favor overall damage to Vayne, because Vayne's skit is actually just so ridiculous. Sure, Tristana will have a lot more safety than Vayne will have, but I think when we talk about raw DPS, still give that lead over to Vayne.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, the 2 item power spike, but obviously that late game is going to have a lot more items than that, but just alone, the Winsus plus the Blade of Runekeep can shred the tanks on the side of Team Right Click. But not to mention that they buff that ultimate cooldown in terms of her Q, her tumble, so that she can use it every 1 second while her final hour is active. At that point, it doesn't matter if you're super low range, because you're just going to be tumbling in and out. People won't be able to hit you, and you just have to.
Definitely, I gotta tell you, a lot of Vayne mains came back to playing League of Legends after that change happened. It feels so good to have those low cooldown. yeah, right? But overall in the early game, no ganks at the moment. We do see J4 though able to pick up the blue buff here, and oh yeah, in the top lane.
There was a ping, Rek'Sai burrowing in there, trying to find the knockup, but Awaken snips that one out. Not gonna get caught there.
Yeah, but good attempts by Hopeseeker. I think the sign from Awaken was just a little too close to the tower, so not going to find anything there. But you could see Awaken was actually ahead on tempo, and that's because
nice
he took, yeah, really nice bubble. A bit more damage going to go down to Kit, but hopefully that Nami will be healing him up quite nicely. And you can still see the trades are going relatively even just from the eye test really quickly.
Right. Well, one thing I did like out of Slappy Pappy here is when he saw that Hopeseeker went up top for that first angle, immediately invaded, took away that Raptor camp. You can see on the minimap there, Compulse just tried to go check, wasn't able to find him in time, but immediately went and counter jungled and got himself a little bit of an advantage, albeit a small one, but it's kind of heads up play that you want to see from the jungle.
Yeah, definitely, and very nice to see. Rek'Sai just expending 1 gank and didn't quite make much of a difference, but like we talked about in the prep for this game, you do have Veigar who could have a nice setup onto Compulse on the Galio here, because Compulse has no escape to get out of a cage from Veigar, so easily combo that, but whoa, gank!
Last taunt there into the knockup, Hopeseeker on Burrows, and they get the first blood going over to Hopeseeker.
Just as easy as that. Just a quick burrow in, and you're able to get right on top of that Veigar. Veigar very squishy, and a little scuffle here in the spot lane, but kill going over to Hopeseeker in this case, and going to feel pretty nice having that early kill onto your jungler. Hopefully going to get some momentum going and transfer that gold lead to other lanes.
Yeah, And one of the things that I do want to mention just real briefly is in the bottom lane. You mentioned, trades have been going relatively evenly, but if we look at the CS difference so far, there is a small lead that's been accrued here for Solber, about 8 CS, so a little over one wave. It's not nothing, but it's certainly something. And I think part of that has been, if we've been watching this, they've been consistently pushing the waves under tower. Tristana is one of those champions that normally has a little bit hard time CSing early because of the explosive charge, the passive on that. But nonetheless, she's been able to overcome that disadvantage by just shoving the waves in and making Kit lose CS under tower.
Yeah, definitely. It's the good with the bad. The explosive charge passive does unintentionally push the wave, and at the same time, hey, it gives you lane priority, and that is how they've been able to be taking more and more favorable trades. Soraka also just somewhat of a lane bully, just as much as Nami, I would say, and able to put Kit a little bit far behind. Now it's getting very low, and we have Rek'Sai. Hopeseeker taking another trip down here.
He is missing forward, but it looks like the ward will spot him out. He nonetheless burrows and trying to find something. Does get silenced and rooted up, though, and that is going to mean an end to any kind of gank that he might want to pull off there.
Yeah, still very close to making a connection, and possibly might have blown summoners, but was caught on that ward, so nothing going to come of that either. Now Slappy Pappy, he's controlling this top side, and at the right time too.
Yeah, absolutely. The Zion ultimate used there, and now Slappy Pappy has arrived. Will he land the flag and drag Best James Bond incredibly low? Looks like he's going to go down the electrocute. He doesn't even need the flag, and Dragon Awaken picks up that kill on the Best James Bond.
There you go, and a little bit of an unexpected play there. I think Best James Bond just deciding now was a good time to go in. Unfortunately, you have to look at the situation and say, well, my jungler just showed bottom. So if anything, I look even more vulnerable than I did 10 seconds ago, and decided to go for a bit of an aggressive play there. Got caught out by Slappy Pappy on the J4, and that is going to be the kill going over to Awakened on that Scion.
Yeah, and you can see that Team Right Click really did a lot of setup to make that gank in the top lane happen. They have that control ward in that Pixel Brush in the river. They also had a couple of trinket wards in the river just to give themselves vision, make sure that they weren't going to get counter ganked by a Hopeseeker. So they knew full well what was going on. They had full vision, and they set up the gank properly, and props to them for that. It resulted in a kill.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to be feeling pretty nice. So you could say Hopeseeker.
Looks like Hopeseeker is looking for another gank down here. There is a control war, but he's avoiding it by going around the tower. And it looks like Compulse is also moving down. May use the Hero's Entrance. Tristana ultimately used to knock him back from her tower, but the Hero's Entrance comes through, and Compulse picks up focus. She's going to go down. No fair, that's a 2v4, but nonetheless, a kill going over to Team 12.
Yeah, I'm going to call timeout on that one. Can we get everyone back to their own lanes? But super smart play overall coming out from Team 12. I mean, it looked like the Rek'Sai was in a bad situation, but you had the heal come out from the Nami. You had the Hero's Entrance come out from Compulse as a great follow-up, and that locks it down. Now maybe another skirmish here.
Yeah, it looks like the tidal wave is going to be used there. The bot kill is bubbled up, and it's going to go down. Mama Len picks up that kill. Now the TP has come through as well. Slappy Pappy running for his life. The Ignite is ticking, and he's going to go down as well. Hopeseeker picking up that kill, and surely that will mean the Dragon here for Team 12.
Yeah, that is going to be a Cloud Drake. Probably going to be going over for Team 12, and another great skirmish that they just happened to find. I think they caught out Slappy Pappy, and unfortunately, he ends up going down for that. Like I said, Cloud Drake, and if you're thinking about Vayne right now, she's probably feeling pretty nice, right? My team's winning, and I don't have to do anything yet, so no pressures on me. I could probably just keep farming and scale into the game quite nicely.
Oh no, and Hopeseeker might be looking for another gank. Again, burrows just past the tower to avoid the vision. They get the knockup on the focus, and she goes down as well. Can Solver be the next? No, does jump out to safety, but man, this bottom lane is just being absolutely picked on by Hopeseeker.
Yeah, Hopeseeker very comfy in his tent right now, and not afraid to keep coming back for that gank over and over again. Now, I think the key thing here was Focus's flash was actually down, so she was much more vulnerable, and you can keep doing that if you are Hopeseeker. I mean, Soraka has no hard escapes. She had no barrier at that time either, so quick pickup. And again, like I said, just even more better situations for the Vayne to be in right now. Like, she picked up already 2 assists and a kill with debatably not having to do much of anything.
Oh, looks like a roam is coming in here for Team Right Click, trying to answer back finally, but the nice flash out of the flag and drag by Compulse means there is no kill going to be had there by Team Right Click.
Yep, definitely. And like I said, that setup from Veigar so difficult. You have no quick mobility, you have no blinks if you are Compulse on the Galio, so it's going to be very hard to play now without his flash, but at least you pulled some pressure away from the other lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did force the Scion ultimate out. I mean, he did the Burn Slash for it. But now Hope Seeker wasn't quite sure that he saw Slappy Pappy there, but now that he has, he says, okay, you want to slap me? Oh, but oh my word, the heal comes through. The ultimate used by Hope Seeker. Can he get out of this one? I don't know that he can. Burrows, but the Fire ultimate comes through, picks up the kill. Compos, meanwhile, trying to create some havoc here for the bottom lane of Team Right Click, but in the end, they're just going to walk away, and Hope Seeker ends up losing his life.
Little bit of overkill there from the bot kill, putting down that ultimate onto the Rex side, but that is going to secure the kill for him. So going to feel pretty nice, and like you said, Slappy Pappy, very quick to slap him, Rex side here.
True to his name.
Yeah. Overall, that's a nice pickup, and you don't lose your buff either, so that's very nice. Right now, you do have a bit of silver lining, right? Your top lane is ahead. Scion played here by Awakened, does have a slight lead, but even in CS, and in the mid lane, you did have a kill, you just picked up onto the Veigar, and these could be the silver lining for Team Right Click.
Yeah, I think a really good job by Team Right Click having the mid lane, roam over to help out Slappy Pappy, because Hope Seeker has really just had his run of the Rift this game. He's been ganking pretty much every lane, getting leads for all of his laners, and he went for that invade because he's so far ahead, and he probably would have been successful with it had it not been for Team Right Click's solo lanes and the bottom lane roaming over to help him out.
Right, definitely, and you can look at that and say, hey, nice reactions coming out from Right Click. Like, they are not sleeping this game at the very least, so definitely still competitive, and we could right away see another seesaw in momentum.
Right, and the gold lead at this point is really not that large. 19,500 to so
it's only
500 gold. That's really not that much. The kills have mostly gone the way of Team 12, but that gold difference is not so much that it's insurmountable by any means.
Definitely, and I think just looking at the game as a whole, I think Right Click just needs to put a little bit more attention, I would like to say, towards this bot lane, because this Vayne is sort of a ticking time bomb, and she's already slightly ahead on the curve. It's hard to say, actually, so I'm not sure if I can check the gold right here, but just... You see Tristan ahead a little bit of CS, but on the other hand, you do have a kill and 2 assists for the Vayne, so probably still relatively close.
Right, and meanwhile, while we're talking about all of that, Hope Seeker went ahead and picked up the Rift Herald on the top side. You can see they've got a lot of vision there, 2 control wards as well as a couple of trinket wards. So they had the vision to be able to securely get that objective, and they did.
Yep, right, and now Hope Seeker in this top side. We'll have to see where the Rift Herald actually goes down to. I know a lot of teams prefer to put it into the mid lane because this sort of opens up the map and lets you invade much easier now that you can shove in those mid waves.
Yeah, but they may just have to use the top side here. It looks like it was channeled there by Hope Seeker, and they're looking for maybe a dive here. Rift Herald's going to charge from the back side, so it won't be able to be stopped.
It's a very tanky Scion, so okay, here we go.
The Unburrow is there. Hope Seeker's tanking it up, does get hit by that Scion, unstoppable onslaught. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Shadow Wave is used, does not connect. The bot kill picks up a kill on the Compulse, and now Best James Bond trying to finish off the kill here, but the Boomerang does not land for the 3rd proc, so they escape with their lives, but that Rift Herald's not going to be able to claim the full tower.
Oh man, that Boomerang just was not feeling it today. Just sort of, I could get him tomorrow, like, it's fine. And Slappy Pappy here reacting to the top lane push, and that is going to mean overall a win for Team Right Click, right? They took down the Galio very quickly before he could Hero's Entrance out. You take a bot tower as well, so overall great play, and I think a bit of a overzealous dive coming out for Team 12, but
speaking of dives, flag and drag, nope, not going to follow up on that one. But I think you're right. Yeah, Team Right Click definitely comes out ahead on that one in terms of the map pressure. They did get first tower in the bottom lane, which is not worth as much as it used to be, but nonetheless is still some extra gold in their pockets.
definitely. And that is one of the pros about having a Tristan. She's so good at destroying towers. And on the other hand, you could look at Vayne and say, well, she's great when you want to take Barons or when you want team fight in general. I think she has a slight edge. So hoping to see both teams play to their win conditions here. So we might see right click opt a little bit more for sieges, perhaps. And we might see Team 12 on the other hand for some team fighting. And actually they end up getting an uncontested dragon here. And you could definitely give credit over to their great control right now. And 2 pink wards in the river right now. Yeah, so it's very dark for right click at the moment.
Yeah, Team Right Click did have some good vision topside early on, which kind of facilitated that early game. But Innovative Lane got another taunt there, landing into the tidal wave. The CC is just unrelenting. That's a shutdown going over to Mama Lin. Not the person they probably would want it to go over to, nonetheless. They are going to get that extra gold and allow them some mid lane priority.
Yeah, a quick clap, and that's going to be that. Actually, the barrier came out for bot kill, but I didn't see it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he just got melted.
That's right. J4 here. Slappy Pappy. We see a Slappy Slappy.
No, the flag and drag, but the taunt is there. They got the damage reduction. He gets CC'd up. The burrow as well.
No.
But the Rek'Sai ultimate comes in for the execute. Can he get it? He can, but will he get out? No, he will not. The flash by Focus there to make sure that kill is secure.
Whew, man, going deep, Hope Seeker was, and ends up getting the kill, but it's overall an even trade. You still have this push going. Compulse just going to shove in this wave and probably recall. Yeah. And so Solver and Focus now shifted over to this top lane, and you can expect that they're going to be starting an early siege onto this top tower and uncontested. You have the Gnar rotating to mid, but I think he's going to miss out on trying to whittle down that top lane wave.
Yeah, and I will say, I think this is kind of a mistake by Team 12 not to rotate their dual lane up there to match, because now we've got Team Right Click. They have this basically uncontested top lane. Nar's not going to do too much to stop them. And like you said, Tristana can just shred those towers with the explosive shot. So she charges up in the tower and will make quick work of it, especially with turret plating gone at this point in the game.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I could make an argument for saying, all right, Team 12, you can keep your bot lane in there if Dragon was up. But at the moment, there are no objectives up. And if you really wanted to preserve your towers, Tristana pushes faster than you, and I think you just have to send that to your duo up there to contest her at least, so she can't be whacking away at that tower for free.
Right. Well, and the other part about that, why it can really be detrimental for you to leave your bottom lane down there if you're Team 12 is the fact that a dive can happen top lane, and your duo lane is suddenly bottom. Right, so they can't join in a potential prolonged fight. And we see that happening right now. Slappy Pappy wanting to find one of the best names, Bond. The hero's entrance used there with the flag drag, and now he's gone too deep. He's going to go down. So Team 12 showing up there with that Galio ultimate. In the bottom side, they're trying to find a pick on the top laner, but not going to find it. That Scion is too tanky, but the turret does end up going down, even in spite of all that action on the top side.
Yeah, really quick. Reactions coming out for the side of Team 12, and they're able to preserve best James Bond. Lose the tower in the end, right? That was an even trade, actually. So a bit of an advantage going over to Team 12 here.
And both teams looking to reset here. Looks like next objective will not be for about another minute and a half, which will be the next Drake. We do have Baron coming up in a minute, shortly before that Drake, but I would doubt it if we saw any action that early around that objective.
Right. Next Drake.
It's like it'll be a Mountain Drake.
Yep, Mountain Drake. And here's an interesting observation. We actually have Kit here on the Vayne right after Blade of the Ruined King picking up a QSS. I think this is very telling that he...
Focus gone out, the Unburrow into the bubble, and now the Rek'Sai ultimate goes through the barrier, but the Viper Cage is there. Can't Focus get out? No, he's going to go down, and now Kit has been caught out in the Cataclysm, trying to use that final hour in the tumble, but it is going to go down, and that's 3 now dead on the side of Team Right Click here, and now it looks like Team 12's going to have the run of the table. Or, I'm sorry, Team 12, 3 of them are dead on that side, by mistake.
Right, yeah. And just a bit of an overextension coming out from the Nami, and that leads to her quick and very brutal doom, and that is going to give priority over to Team Right Click here over this dragon. We'll see if they try and actually start it up when it is spawned. 30 seconds away now. And Scion here pushing in this top wave. He is going to attract, looks like 2 members of Team 12 to respond.
Just on Alpha Unburrow. Yeah, it looks like Dual Lane is going to go top side, which means they won't be there to contest that Dragon. So Team 12 effectively giving away this Drake, saying they don't want to contest it. And that should go the way of Team Right Click. And Mountain Drake, one of those Drakes that is actually quite powerful, in the right hands. If you're ahead, you can certainly do Baron much quicker. You can shred those towers, and you've got an 80 carry in Tristana, who's already ready to spreading towers. This is just going to add to that.
Right, he's definitely going to feel nice, and I don't think we're going to see a steal attempt, so just given over right now. I'd actually say a little bit of waste of time for Team 12 here. They were just sort of hovering around, but no real intention of doing anything around that dragon, so... Either way, Mountain Drake, like you said, going to feel very nice on the Tristana. And we didn't see a team fight in the end. After we see the Vayne opting for a QSS, I thought for sure we would see a skirmish around that dragon.
Yeah, and the gold is pretty much dead even at this point. I mean, the difference is 100 gold, fluctuating back and forth. So really marginal, negligible at this point. Both teams just locked in this dead heat, an incredibly close game to start off Season 6.
Yeah, definitely. No teams wanted to take a bit too risky of a turn here. Hopeseeker can take some damage. Huh?
Yeah, I thought he had found out Solbert waiting in the wings there, but Solbert quickly crits him, does a fair amount of damage.
And there's that siege with the Mountain Drake from the Tristana tower already down to more than half in that tidal wave blown, but honestly, I would have loved to see a more decisive engage, but unfortunately you lose that cooldown from the Nami here, and it's going to be harder and harder to engage. We might see a flank or Mega Gnar when Gnar does build up his meter come out.
Yeah, you can see Hopeseeker kind of positioning here in the look at that cage, waiting for the right moment to go, and he does go in, but he gets hit by the Scion ultimate, and he flashed out. Now Popple's getting incredibly low as well, forced to flash himself, and now Slappy Packy has killed Kit, so the 80 carry is down for Team 12. Now Team Right Click is trying to run away with this team fight double kill, going over to Slappy Pappy as they siege this mid lane tower. Looks like that'll be all the kills that'll go over, but now they may have their eyes set on the Baron.
Oh, just snuffed out that engage, awakened football tackling Hopeseeker, not letting him get into the backline. And we actually didn't see the grand entrance there. And like you said, Baron now started for the side of Team Right Click, and it was all off the back of them pressuring that mid tower, them pressuring that siege and saying, hey, you don't have engage, Team 12, and I hope you could do something quick. They end up not finding the right engage again. They go down for it. I just see another kill. Misses everything.
But that's just kind of playing with his food there.
He's just zoning the Nami. He didn't even want that kill. Come on.
He wanted some sushi, but Mama Lem was not having it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, come on. Who even likes sushi?
I like sushi.
Are
you kidding?
Yeah. There's actually I work at a place where I have a lot of Western Western co-workers, and a lot of them don't even touch raw fish. Like, they still have that stigma where it's like, oh, it's raw fish, like, I'm gonna get sick or whatever. But I don't know, it's like, as long as it's fresh, bro, like, just put it in your mouth and eat it.
It's delicious. Well, what is not delicious is this Baron buff if you're Team 12, as they're just getting absolutely sieged. And this is the danger that we talked about in the draft coming to fruition here. For Team 12 is they didn't draft strong engage, and Team Right Click did, and they're showing in their team fights they can pull these triggers so easily with the Sign Unstoppable Onslaught. They can use the Viger Cage as a siege tool as well to zone. So just a lot of tools in their kit to really get these team fights in their favor, and they're doing it quite well.
Definitely, and I think a lot of their success is really coming down to, like you said, just a well-rounded team composition. Like, they were practically on the verge of diving, and they had no problem if it came to that, because you have Awakened, this big beefy tanker.
Oh no, best James Bond might be caught. Unstoppable Onslaught is used. Modkill has found him as well with the cage, keeping him trapped in there. Matter of time, surely before he goes down. The Cataclysm used just to make sure he does finally go down. And now Compulse might have found out Solbert quickly chunks him for half HP. That Aftershock mastery takes no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a bit of some small minor mistakes, but they lead to giving up more and more. Best James Bond just taking a suboptimal route when you're this behind in pressure.
CP tried to be channeled there by Awakened to TP mid and apply some split pressure, but a great tidal wave heads up play by Mama Lim to interrupt that channel.
Yeah, but the siege still going to be going on. Here's the flank though from
Hope Seeker looking to find something, does find focus on the Soraka, but the barrier is there. The hero's entrance as well is used, but they're all focusing on Soraka, and the backline for Team Right Click is untouched. Awakened is trying to tank stuff up on the top side. Like it's demolished by that Viger ultimate. Solberg jumps in for another kill, and they're just making quick work here of Team 12, shredding them to pieces. Double kill going over to the bot kill. And just the Scion is dead, just their frontline take, but the backline is full HP thanks to those Soraka heals.
Yeah, and this is all coming together right now for Team Right Click. Once they start grouping up and sieging, you can really see of their composition. They had the right pieces in the right spots. Bot kill though.
Oh, Hope Seeker once more uses that Chilling Smite with the Unburrow, but the cage knocks him up and he's gonna be going down. Solberg takes him out. Now Besting's Mon caught out in a bad position. Solberg still untouched. Double kill for him, says King Me. Jumps in, trying to get the triple kill, but will not because of that flash from him.
Yeah, and just more and more risky plays. Team 12 is just trying to get stuff back in return, but it's not working out at all. And this Veigar is so frustrating to play against, especially because I think a lot of the problem here is you don't have some good gap closes coming out from the engage of Team 12. Like, it's basically just people trying to run in, right? You have the Rek'Sai who's going to be burrowing in, but that can be stopped by Veigar Cage. You have the Gnar and the Galio as well trying to get in, but it's all being snuffed out right now. So you're having Team Right Click just sort of suffocate Team 12 here. They're saying, hey, you can't engage on us. By the way, your tower is going down, so you need to engage on us. And it's just bad situations caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, and just to elaborate a little further on that, because you're absolutely right, is they don't have those engage tools. You see what they're trying to do. You see the theory is the Rek'Sai burrows in and they throw the Galio Hero's entrance on top and try to start up a fight that way. But the problem is, Hero's entrance hasn't given you damage introduction for quite some time. So when the Rek'Sai goes in and burrows, even if that Hero's entrance is on him, he's not getting a damage reduction. He's still really squishy. I mean, he's only got a Black Cleaver. He's now got a Giant Spell, but none of these guys in the front line for Team 12 have any magic resist, and Viger is just going to have a field day shredding through those guys because of the fact they have no magic resist.
Right, and we talked about this in the pregame. Hey, maybe Team 12 don't need the engage as Bastion's Bond gonna go down.
Yeah, uses that Mega Gnar ultimate. He might actually escape there with the Deadman's Plate movement speed. Yeah. Solbert wanting to try to find him with oh no! The misclick is he can't find the blast code.
Yeah,
Solbert's gonna claim the kill.
Come on, everyone's done that every now and then, right? You miss that blast cone barely, you walk back and
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh right, you're a robot. I forgot. So all the humans out here, we make mistakes sometimes, and come on, guys, not just me, right?
Well, shout us out in Twitch chat if you agree.
Yeah. Please, someone save me.
In the meantime, Solber and the rest of Team Right Click are sieging up the topside inhibitor now. Surely going to take it down. 2 inhibitors down. They can even look to claim their second Baron of the game that spawns in 25 seconds, and that will surely be the last thing they need to close out this game.
Wow, overall, it's just bad. Getting now to worse for Team 12, and they're just trying to find openings in, but like, not just the fact that you have the DP frontliner in Scion, but you have other stuff to keep your backline completely safe. And once that backline has nothing to worry about, like Soraka Tristana is gonna find a phenomenal time in the team fights, right? You're going to have Tristana having no fear, so going to be saving that rocket jump for when she wants to get those resets, for playing aggressively, and is going to know, like, I have huge heals if I ever get into tricky situations. Now Baron being looked at, and it's going to burn down real quickly. I think this is Team 12's last chance.
Yeah, they're going to try to make a play here if they want to do something, and oh my word, Hopeseeker tries to go in and gets knocked out by Tristana ultimate, and that might have actually saved him, but the tidal wave is there. They found the bot kill, the taunt is there, he's going down. This could be a fight in the favor of Team 12. Slappy Pack has got him with the tackle, he goes down as well. The hero's entrance is used, and on the back line, oh my word, and Team 12, they're winning this fight. They're going to kill Team Right Click. All the members are down, and Scion Zombie is not going to be able to claim the kill on the Compulse. And now Team 12 has just bought themselves a lease on life in this game.
And there goes the Baron buff as well. A clean ace, like you said, and that's going to give free reign to push for some objectives here, get some gold back into your pockets if you're Team 12. And I did not expect that happening because the Baron went down, right? So what more do you have to look forward to? Rek'Sai Flash was blown as well, but you had Kit coming into the team fight, not really pressured at all. Did find a good amount of damage landing onto him, but in the end stayed alive. They had enough members to pressure Solberg out and just put as much damage as they needed on him, and he couldn't pop off that fight. Just great chance, great opportunity that you found if you are Team Right Click here.
Yeah, and not to pick on Solberg, but there was, I think, a bit of a micro misplay in that fight on him using that Tristana ultimate to knock away Hopeseeker as he was tunneling into the Baron. You know, I understand you want to use it to obviously prevent the Baron steal, but they had thrown up the Viger cage, so that would have stopped him. And actually, by using the Tristana ultimate to knock away Hopeseeker to try to prevent the steal, he saved Hopeseeker, allowed him to live, and then he didn't have that key ultimate cooldown to save the bod kill when they all dove onto him with that Galio flash taunt. So I think if he had maybe been a little more judicious with the use of that ultimate, could have perhaps saved it for a more crucial moment to save his team.
Definitely going to have to agree with you there. Awakened, oh no, going to have to
onslaught.
Yeah, gonna have to take that taxi out of there. Infernal Drake now up, and looks like it's gonna go down for Team Right Click. Yeah, it is. So another great pickup. Actually, 2 Infernal Drakes. I didn't notice the first one, but like that's gonna feel really good if you are Team Right Click. You still have decent control of this game. Remember, your siege is great. You have at least 1 inhibitor down at the moment, so you could still try and look for the right sieges.
Yeah, and even though I pointed out that micro mistake, the fact remains, as you pointed out, the Team Right Click still has the better team fight, right? That nothing has changed about that, and they've even added an extra Infernal Drake to their name, so their team fight's only going to get better in terms of their damage output. They just have to make sure they're being disciplined about how they're playing these fights.
Right.
Hopeseeker caught out. Oh my word, the Viger damage is insane. It absolutely deletes Hopeseeker on that Rek'Sai, and now Best James Bond caught out in the middle of 5 members, and that will surely be the game as the TP being channeled there by Awakened.
Yeah, they just need to play this slowly, and as long as they don't make any mistakes, they keep Kit down. He's gonna have to fight out. They're gonna suffer along.
Over jumps in, trying to get a little bit testy there. Onto the back line. Tidal Wave used as kind of a last resort to try to stop this final siege. Awakened taking up the tower. Solberg now focusing the tower. Great bubble lands onto 2. Slappy Pappy getting low, but Vayne Kit cannot enter these team fights. Stopwatch used there by Bubbles. He's going to go down, and that will surely be all she wrote here for game 1. Team Right Click putting the finishing touches on this Nexus as Kit just gets up on. And that is going to be a win going over in the column of Team Right Click in this best of 3.
Yeah. Overall, solid performance by Team Right Click. Poor Kit, man. I feel like he only got to play 1 team fight, and that was at the Baron. And you're right. Like, Team 12 did end up picking up a lot of great kills off the back of that Baron given up. But at the same time, it didn't change much of the context of the game after all, right? You got another Infernal Drake if you were Right Click, and you still had that Monster Siege. You still had great team formation, right? You had all the right things to prevent your backlines from being exposed, and you had better front to front, it sort of looked like, right? Because if we look at it on paper, you say, okay, Vayne, great amount of... It's so hard to play these fights if you are Kit on the Vayne. So I actually have no real complaints. I have more of the problem with the Vayne pick in the context of against Team Right Click's team. It was just very hard to find the right openings. You could run into a cage, you could run into a meteor coming out from the Veigar. You still had Sion very comfortable, able to sit on top of you and try and keep you down the entire time. And if Solberg ever wants to switch his focus onto you, he has the auto attack range to do it.
Yeah, it's excellent points there. And at the end of the day, Team Right Click's going to walk away with the W here for game 1. We still got at least one more game to play in this series. So we're going to throw it over to another short break as we gear up for game 2 of this series between Team 12 and Team Right Click. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back with more Reason Esports action.
On the Galio here because Pulse has no escape to get out of a cage from Veigar. So easily combo that, but whoa, again.
Flash taunt there into the knockup. Hopeseeker on Burrows, and they get the first blood going over the Hopeseeker.
just as easy as that. Just a quick burrow in, and they're able to get right on top of that Veigar. Veigar very squishy. He might have blown Summoners, but just caught on that ward, so nothing going to come of that either. A Slappy Pappy scoop on this top side, and at the right time too.
Yeah, absolutely. The Scion ultimate used there, and now Slappy Pappy has arrived. Will he land the flag and drag? Best James Bond incredibly low. Looks like he's going to go down to electrocute. He doesn't even need the flag, and Dragon Awaken picks up that kill on the best James Bond.
There you go, and little bit.
The bot kill is bubbled up and is going to go down. Mama Len picks up that kill. Now the TP has come through as well. Slappy Pappy running for his life. The Ignite is ticking, and he's going to go down as well. Hope Seeker picking up that kill, and surely that will mean the Dragon here for Team 12.
Yeah, that is going to be a Cloud Drake. Probably going to be going over for Team 12, and another great skirmish that they just happen to find.
There's something, and oh my word, Hope Seeker tries to go in, gets knocked out by Tristana, and that might have actually saved him, but the tidal wave is there. They found the bot kill. The taunt is there. He's going down. This could be a fight in the favor of Team 12. Slappy Pappy's got him with the Cataclysm. He goes down as well. The Hero's Entrance is used, and on the back line, oh my word, Team 12, they're winning this fight. They're going to kill Team Right Click. All the members are down, and Scion Zombie is not going to. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here getting ready for game two of this best of three between Team Right Click and Team 12. And if you're just now joining us, Team Right Click did walk away with the win here, taking that game one in a pretty commanding victory with some successful team fighting. Switch, tell me a little bit about that game one.
Yeah, and if you remember the early game, it was so even, right? And we didn't see a lot of action for a while. And just like that, when we hit that mid game sort of realm, right click decide, hey, let's group up. We have a Tristana, we have Soraka, we have a great front line. We have the Veigar cage that can keep our back line safe. They just decide to start winning. At that point, it sort of seemed because they had the better siege, they could snuff out any engages coming out from Team 12. And you did have power picks like the Vayne and the Rek'Sai going for the side of Team 12, but they just were not able to find success on it.
Yeah, and this pick ban already just going flying by. A lot of the same bans we saw in the first match. You know, a lot of those mages taking off the board, the Kayn as well. And it's going to be Jarvan first pick by Team Right Click.
Right, so the Vladimir and the Vel'Koz, still the same for Team 12's bans. The only change here is the Soraka actually being taken out, so they don't want to give that safety over to Right Click's backline again. And like you said, the Jarvan, very stable pick, and while we did see the Jarvan win the game, and he did seem to perform well, we saw one of the flaws in Rek'Sai, so I think that's why it's not being first picked at the moment. It's because it has a very strong flaw, and that might just be going up against Veigar's or going up against a lot of zoning.
Yeah, well, I think they just needed to draft a little bit better in terms of having some kind of front line for that Rek'Sai, if that's what they were going to choose to do. Because the way you build Rek'Sai is, you build pretty much AD. You're not really building super tanky. So, the fact that they chose to pick Gnar with the Rek'Sai, I think, was a mistake. We'll see if they rectify it this time around, if they choose to go with that Rek'Sai again, but I would not expect it. Meanwhile, Team 12 went ahead and picked up Sivir Sejuani, and even though Nami wasn't banned, that being one of Focus's best champions, they decided not to pick it here in this first round so far.
And Sivir, I gotta point it out, Vayne is a good counter pick against the Sivir. Kai'Sa as well, though. You have a good amount of picks that can be thrown against the Sivir, but Sejuani, a very solid jungler, and actually has a surprisingly decent early game, so by no means giving up anything. Team 12 still has well-rounded composition. You have great team fighting as well already with the Sivir, the Sejuani. Ho! Are we gonna see it? Yeah! Alright, Lulu Kog'Maw for the side of Right Click.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, and this is actually very similar to the last backline, right? If you remember, long range auto attack based AD carry, and you had that enchanter right next to it. Last game it was the Tristana Soraka. This game, Kog'Maw Lulu, but gonna function very similarly.
Yeah, and we had not yet seen the mid lane pick, but Zoe was banned out. That is one of Compulse's better champions. This looks like Luck's actually going to be picked up there for Team 12 in the mid lane. So they've shown their hand early, and that Team Right Click is going to potentially be able to counter pick that if they so choose. They will not have the Zoe this game, unfortunately, but we should point out this stat powered by U.GG that Zoe holds only a 47.86% win rate on this current patch, but does have that high 12.5% ban rate, which we're seeing in this match that she got banned away. And for good reason, Compulse has a 62% win rate on that champion.
Yeah, and you gotta imagine that was before the nerfs. Unfortunately, this is a 9.6, so she does have an increased cooldown on her Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and I believe the slow is also reduced on that as well. So just going to give opponents better options to not get Zoe'd and not get just one skilled by her. And we're not going to be seeing her either way, even though she was nerfed. A couple other bans on the table now. So Veigar taken off the table, and that was definitely a wrench in the plan of Team 12 here. So they decide they don't want to see it anymore. Irelia and the Scion as well. Like, you already have like 3 direct picks that were in game 1 that are banned out here in game 2.
Yeah, and I worry a little bit that Team 12 is tunneling too much on these specific picks and not the larger symptom of the problem, right? The problem was that they allowed Team 12 to draft this strong team fight engaged composition. And just because you eliminate Viger and Scion doesn't mean that they can't still draft similar picks. Lissandra being hovered, that's certainly one of those, mid lane type of control mages that they could pick up, and they could still choose to draft a tanky top laner that's not Scion. So
Right.
I'm questioning those bans a little bit, but I can understand from Team 12's perspective, having kind of bashed your head against those champions in the first game and being a little frustrated with it, just taking them away so you don't have to deal with it again.
Right. I'm actually gonna hard agree with you on that one. Like, I think Team 12 saw the pick and they were like, there's no counterplay, But it's like, wait, you didn't have a good composition, bro. Like, what are you supposed to do against that stuff? They might also find value though in taking right click off of, let's say, comfort picks, right? Because technically they did perform well on it last game, so maybe they think it's like, we don't want to give them picks that they perform well on. So maybe some value there. Either way, right click did pick up the Lissandra and the Corki here, so it looks like it's going to be Lissandra top lane, Corki mid, and Corki actually functioning a lot like this last pick Cassiopeia, both having a lot of single target damage and able to be that second carry in the team fights.
Yeah, and Team 12 this time around does have some better form of engage with the Sejuani, but that said, that is really their only source of engage. You can't count the Cassiopeia ultimate as a reliable source of engage, or like a Darius pull, or even a Lux binding, right? Those are all really dependent on skill shots. And Sejuani is a lot easier to force those engages. But again, we look at Team Right Click; they've drafted much clearer forms of hard engage. With the Jarvan flag and drag Cataclysm, with that they had last game, with the Lissandra going in with the Glacial Path and starting things off, getting some roots down. And on top of that, they've got some strong backline presence with the Lulu Kog'Maw, as you mentioned, and even the Corki.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the real takeaway here is you still have a lot of priority in terms of neutral game and in terms of team fight if you look at right click. And they seem to function well off of it last game. You have J4 who can function as a primary engage, like I strongly believe, because he has that Cataclysm. If he wants to, he can opt into the Guardian Angel, and that should help him survive longer. And then you have the follow-up engage of the Lissandra, and maybe if Corki has the package, you could look to play off of that too. And because you're putting so much attention on the backline of Team 12, they're sort of forced to, let's say, kite away. They're sort of forced to peel rather than diving your backline. So if you have a Kog'Maw Lulu, like last game, we didn't see the Tristana and the Soraka pressured. If they're not pressured, they're going to have a field day, just auto-attacking whoever they please. And I think that's really what attributed a lot of the success to Right Click's first game.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Now, going into this game two, we do have Team Right Click with the advantage, up 1-0. If they're able to win the second game, they'll take the series and be the first Season 6 Dominate Open team to be 1-0. But who are you expecting to run away with this game too?
This is definitely a change in the top lane meta as a whole. Like, pretty sure it's going to be Cassiopeia versus Lissandra, and I don't know what to think about that. But if we just look at it on paper, I think I do still favor Right Click. I know it's kind of like an obvious, like, oh, they won game one, why not pick them game two? But it's like they still have that nice backline carry. They have not just the backline carry, though. They also have the Corki, and they have damage coming out from the J4 and the Lissandra. And they also have good engage and good team fighting as a whole. And we saw them function well off of it. So I would personally give it to them. That said, though, if I had to talk about the win conditions from Team 12, I think it's making picks in the early game. I think it's snowballing ahead. And like I said last game, you're not going to misengage as long as you're ahead in the game. I think the problem last game was Team 12 was sort of falling behind in terms of global gold, and they just found themselves in worse off situations.
Yeah, and to that point about, I think you said, they need to snowball early, get some of those advantages and just kind of run away with it that way. Great point, because, the Lulu Kog'Maw and even the Corki to some extent is that insurance policy. If it goes late enough, they're just going to be unstoppable. And that's something that you tend to think of also when you think of Sivir, right? It's that meme of like the 500, 600 CS Sivir that just infinitely wave clears, right? And just can dish out tons of damage with the ricochets without having to ever actually target the backline. But that said, you've got that same type of damage output from Right Click. And they have two marksmen able to do that. So I don't think that you can necessarily rely on that late game insurance from Team 12. And they just need to, it's a Sivir comp. They need to group and win. So
just group and win, lol.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think Sivir really does lend herself to this composition because you want to get started early. You want to take control of these early team fights before the Kog'Maw and the Corki can get their core items. And I think Sivir helps facilitate this, right? Because she gets off of the ground really quickly. She functions well whether she has crit or no crit because she works well with just flat AD, as opposed to Kog'Maw, who's very reliant on having all of his items. He's reliant on having that Ginsu's Rage Blade, on having a lot of attack speed, and maybe a Runance as well to really out DPS the Sivir here.
All right. Well, now that we've talked a little about both teams' compositions, they have locked in their picks, and we are just waiting for that Spectre delay to count down so we can get onto the Rift for Game 2 of this Best of 3 series. So stay with us as we cut to a quick break. We'll be back with some more League of Legends. The Rune King Guinsu's type of build can certainly shred through any tanks, and really there aren't a lot of tanks on the Team 12. Just the Sejuani, so not going to have too much trouble with that.
Definitely looking like both junglers going to be starting. We do see Jarvan again picked up this game, and he's a solid jungler overall. We'll shout out to u.gg for these statistics. Jarvan the fourth is actually the second best jungler on the patch right now, second only to Rek'Sai. Jarvan has a 52.26% win rate and 18.6% pick rate in the patch, and has been picked both games, so we might even see him if it comes to a game 3.
So would you say that Rek'Sai is the #1 best jungler on this patch, Slick?
I think there's debate, Are we talking about competitive or solo queue?
The u.gg stats don't lie.
Oh my god. For anyone who doesn't know, me and Genre over here just got off of a hot debate on who was the best jungler, and it's debatable. We all have our the numbers, they don't lie. u.gg, it doesn't lie.
That's right.
I'll give you this one. I'll let you go this time. We're on stream, buddy. If we weren't, we'll crack knuckles.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, in the bottom lane, just some trading back and forth between those duos. Nothing really of note, though, happening yet. CS about even in all the lanes. Lightbinding goes wide there, but nice shield there from focusing on keep Stolberg nice and healthy.
Yeah, and it looks like some vertical jungling already started. Looks like started from Hope Seeker, and that was spotted out by a ward, so Slappy Pappy able to pick up the return buff. So we're going to have Slappy Pappy controlling this bottom lane and maybe having an impact there. And Hope Seeker,
yeah, looks like he's looking for a gank mid. He has shown himself, but
just going to be shoving out.
Yeah.
Right. Just going to gain a little bit of control, and now back over to the top side, we might see both junglers headbutt. Or butt heads, rather.
Yeah, it looks like Hope Seeker did make the call to back out of the jungle there, knowing that Slappy Pappy was making his way back towards his own top side.
Interesting.
Hope Seeker now looking for the Arctic Assault knockup, does not quite land it, and just both junglers paying some early attention to the mid lane, but without any results.
Yeah, that's both junglers, like you said. Not any results yet, but it looks like vision was given to both sides that the sides have swapped. So now we do see Hope Seeker controlling this bot side and Slappy Pappy over in the top side, so both laners should respectively be respecting their control.
And this time, for a change in the bottom lane, we do see Team 12 being the one that's shoving it in. No surprise when you got the likes of Lux, Sivir. Very easy to clear the waves, shovels under a tower, and force that Kog'Maw to farm under tower, which can be a little bit difficult early on.
I actually haven't given a lot of attention to this Lux support. I mean, we tend to only really see it in solo queue where supports get autofilled and they're like, yeah, but I want to play a real champion. I want to play Nami or Soraka. So they end up picking Lux. They steal all your kills as an AD carry. Am I projecting too much?
No, just the right amount. You're absolutely right.
Just want to make sure I'm still somewhat relatable.
those dirty mage supports.
That's alright. We should all put them on an island.
That's right. You should only be playing tank peel supports.
We're going to start another debate, huh?
Looks like Awaken has done a fair amount of damage, but does
nice
not have the mana
away
to trade back. Best James Bond using the heal there from that Decimate to keep himself alive. Looked like he might have been able to get better into that trade. Did force the flash out from Awaken, but it's still going to be too low to follow up.
On one hand, I like the flash away because it actually left Best James Bond just tanking up minions. On the other hand, though, I don't know if he's going to be able to retain control of this lane now that he has this flash down. One fatal mistake in that could lead Best James Bond to pick up the kill.
Right, and with the jungler like Sejuani, Hope Seeker could easily pay attention to that top lane now, knowing that Flash is down, no doubt called out by his teammate. And if he's able to get up there and Awaken continues to push this lane in like he has been, he's certainly going to be vulnerable to that gank and a kill.
Right, the key thing here is, even though Awaken has the HP advantage, he just cannot shove out Best James Bond. Actually going to recall first, and I think that's a very smart idea. Actually, I think that's a super smart idea. I think he knew, hey, I have my flash down, and I'm not able to shove Best James Bond and deny him minions. May as well just back here, right? Because you're more susceptible to a gank. He makes the right call in the end. and like Hope Seeker was on that side and is not able to pick up a good gank. And actually Dragon, as a reaction, I don't know if they saw Sejuani on the map, but either way it is going to be a very early Dragon going over to the side of Team Right Click here.
Yeah, and you saw the question mark teams coming out there from Team 12. You know,
it's always good.
Saw the bottom lane disappear, so they wanted to call that out and thought, hey, maybe they're doing the Drake, and sure enough, Team Right Click was, and they will go ahead and win that first Drake, which is a Cloud Drake, to their name.
Yeah, always one of the most awkward moments in team chat when like you're just farming bot lane, and then like you hear Baron die, and you're like, oh, let's all group, you know, because they're gonna start pushing now.
But other than that, not too much action going on in this early game, at least compared to the last game. Seems like there were a lot of ganks going on. Solberg, nice dodge there on that light binding. They see the Bio-Arcane Barrage combined with that Lulu picks helping out with the damage there. So this bottom lane already taking control for Team Right Click.
Yeah, definitely. And I mentioned in the pregame that Kai'Sa and Vayne, they do perform well against Sivir. Kog'Maw also does, turns out, because he has that same level of DPS, right? So when you're facing a Sivir, Sivir tries to utilize her mobility, tries to utilize her bouncing blades for that AoE damage. She fails to compare to these other harder carries that have better single target damage, right? So if you're 1v1ing a Vayne, you're gonna lose it. Kai'Sa, Kog'Maw, same thing. And the problem is, Sivir doesn't have a hard escape. So sometimes she just ends up being pushed out of lane for it, like we saw here.
Glacial Path Years there by Awaken to escape that apprehend from Darius, making sure to keep himself safe, knowing, of course, having that flash down. Does drop the Trinket Ward.
Yeah.
Had the Spidey senses there.
Totally, but that pink ward now going to be contested, and J-Force here as well.
Yeah, Slappy Pappy doing this blue buff, but nice Arctic Assault there. Awaken uses the Frozen Tomb onto Hope Seeker, but now Permafrost stun. It does come out. Awaken gets stunned up yet again. It looks like he's going to walk out with his life thanks to that Glacial Path. And meanwhile, Compul's trying to use Petrifying Gaze there, but it's not land. A nice dodge out by the bot kill. And now he's trying to use Missile Barrage. Flash forward there. The last Missile Barrage will connect. First blood going over to Compul's. And now they may be looking for yet another kill, but no, it looks like they are going to back off here.
Whew, nice kill from bot kill, and that's going to be some nice gold picked up against that.
Oh no, but the Flag and Drag with the Cataclysm stops actually the Glacial Path from connecting all the way. So not going to pick up the kill there. Ultimate expended, but still, that is a kill going on.
Right, and gets the flash off of Hope Seeker, so that's going to feel pretty nice. Overall, I really have a problem with Awaken's Glacial Prison, actually, or Glacial Tomb, was actually used while Sejuani had her passive up. As you know, gives her better resistances, so that's why we saw it do so little damage. In the end, though, it didn't matter because you were winning that mid 1v1, and there's a flash forward from Vodkill, and he ends up getting well ahead of that.
Yeah, now it looks like there is a roam here. It looks like the package has been acquired here. They're trying to use it. Kit flashes out of the way to safety, finding that lander from Mama Len. So a nice roam there, but he did sacrifice a lot of experience in golden mid lane. As you can see, Compulse is just shoving that wave in and is up, 20 CS at this point.
Right. Yep. 20 CS. And like you said, decent roam for Vodkill. TP actually comes down from an overextension.
It's coming in. The Wild Growth was used, and it's not going to be available for focus on the hunt used by Sivir. Try to close the gap, but Best James Bond cannot find the apprehend, so that's just going to be a TP expended for nothing by Team 12. And you can see they're looking a little bit desperate trying to find these plays.
Yeah, Hope Seeker now showing up both junglers, that is. Nothing going to accrue from that. So you have this Darius in the bot lane. They might try for a siege of some sorts, while you have your top lane exposed, and Awaken going to get some damage onto that. And they're not able to get into range to really put some good damage. Actually, heal blow now, and bit of some bizarre macro coming out from Team 12. They're not able to pick anything off of it, and you give up some plates for free to this Lissandra.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Team 12 was trying to accomplish there. I mean, you could tell they had a plan with the TP in. They obviously weren't able to execute. But then the problem was they didn't just go back to the drawing board. They tried to continue to make something out of that failed play when there was nothing to make of it. The turret plates are still on. They've got all 5 plates. There's no way you're going to be able to dive that early on against the Kog'Maw Lulu. Even if the Wild Growth was used, they still got a lot of tools to be able to prevent any kind of dive. And just their commitment to that play long after it's clear it wasn't going to work out really means that they lost a lot of opportunity elsewhere.
Hey, Hope Seeker here.
Yeah, Hope Seeker getting out to safety bot kill. Also Valkyrie out of the way, just barely dodges that glacial prison there. And now Jarvan's in there with the Cataclysm. He's going to take down a kill. Compulse going down. Hope Seeker claims credit for another one on the backside. So it's just a 1-for-1 between these two teams. As now Team 12 looking to run away. Oh, the nice flash route there used by Awakened. Honestly, Sandra. Does he have the Frozen Tomb up? Does not anymore. But they are still chasing the Battle Ink Crane Brush. Nice flash forward by Solbert. Used to claim that kill. And now that looks like the next Drake could go the favor of Team Right Click if they choose to do it.
Yeah, it was a great turnaround off of a somewhat sketchy engage. They were trying to look for a pick from the side of Team 12 and just not able to find enough damage onto one member. So you had Bot Kill still putting out damage. You had the bot lane, Solbert, and Focus roaming back over, and they were able to turn it around and going to give another dragon off, assuming J4 can get here in time. Yeah, Focus getting pretty low, but either way, another dragon, like I said, so it's going to be Cloud and Mountain for the side of Right Click.
Yeah, and again, it's this early Mountain break that has to worry you, when the Baron comes up here in, about 8 minutes or so. That is instantly going to be a threat. That Team Right Click could just do that. With the Kog'Maw and with that Mountain break, they could easily shred it.
Definitely, and unfortunately, the gold going on to the right members of Right Click here. You have a 2-0-1 Corki, and you have a 1-0 Kog'Maw for when he showed up to that fight. And I don't know. This is going to put them a little bit ahead on the item curve.
Uh-oh. Hope Seeker might have been found out in the jungle there. There was a control ward, and looks like might not be able to get out. Awaken has shown up first for this roam, has rooted them up in position. Slappy Pappy slapping away, and the Glacial Path there used to help get some extra damage, and they were going to claim that kill. Hope Seeker goes down. Now they're looking to turn their attention towards Best James Bond. Can Awaken get in again with the Glacial Path? No, does not have to cool down.
Man, this is unfortunate. Second time we see Hope Seeker just sort of picked out wandering into the enemy jungle, collapsed on again by the J4 and Lysandra. That Corki right behind him, and it's those quicker rotations that you have, right? If you're being invaded, you have a quicker route to your own jungle. So overall, good reactions from Right Click, and they're finding more and more kills.
Yeah, and a bit questionable to go for that invade when you didn't have priority in your lanes, in your solo lanes. But nonetheless, like you said, good heads up play by Team Right Click. Now they're looking for a dive top lane. Nice Frozen Tomb used onto himself. Awakened. Great setup for that dive by Slappy Pappy. The Demacia comes through. And Best James Bond is losing his life for that one.
Brutal and confident calls coming out overall from the side of Right Click. And they seem to be not just making these proactive calls, but they're also just as decisive and just as quick to execute as well. Well, if we look at maybe that pick around the dragon from Team 12, it looked really sketchy. I didn't see as much decisiveness and as much execution coming out as well.
Yeah, and Team 12 trying to equalize stuff on the bottom lane. Side of the map, you could see they had Compulse there on the Cassio waiting on the backside there of that tower, but there was a ward that spotted him out. They also had Hope Seeker there in the lane to try to siege, but there was no creep wave. So Team 12 is trying to equalize things, but you could tell the setup and the execution is just not quite as well thought out as it has been for Team Right Click.
Yeah, totally. And like we said, they have the better composition coming in, and I really put it to Team 12, and I sort of thought, I think if you want to win this game, I think you have to snowball early, right? And they had some lanes to play around. The Darius can be so oppressive when he's ahead. Cassiopeia as well. She gets ahead in terms of items. She's going to out-damage anything. Actually, a package coming in.
Package used there. Monoland might be caught out. Wild Growth used for the knock-up, and the Whimsy as well. That bod kill just on a rampage now. Or sorry, a killing spree. 3-0-1 on this Corki. And is still down about 30 CS, unfortunately, but he's making up for that with the roams.
Yeah, definitely, and some signs of life coming out. Is the first kill. Now they're on the board for the side of Team 12, and hopefully they can. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Right Click. My bad.
Oh, and a great Glacial Prison there, used with the Frozen Tomb by Lissandra, is going to keep himself alive for now. The Aftershock as well, giving himself that extra tanky stats. Now, the TP has been channeled. Bot kill has grown yet again, this time to the top lane, trying to find the kill the best James Bond, but the Darius Noxian guillotine is there. Can the bleed kill off the Bond kill? And a will shut down. Going over to best James Bond.
Wow, really nice play from best James Bond. And
the Petrifying Gaze not quite landing yet again, and they're not able to land that kill, unfortunately. Flash also used by Compulse to try to get that one unsuccessfully.
A little overzealous, but you can't fault them. They want to get ahead after being behind so far in this early game. Around a 3.5k deficit for the side of Team 12, but you can surely make it back with some solid play. The kill now started, but Slappy Pappy.
Slappy Pappy's found it out. The Cataclysm used there. Ignite is sticking on him, but he's still quite healthy. He's going to pick up that kill. Now they're looking to find Hopeseeker. He's trying to call out to his top laner, hey, come get this guy. But he's going to get him for himself. Double kill, the Chilling Smite there used for the execute. And now he said, thanks for the leash. I'll go ahead and take that.
Yes. Also, you're totally right. Awaken didn't even glance. Like, he did not flinch one day. He was like, oh, I'm gonna recall here. What do you mean, dude? Gotta get my items, but...
Yeah, Awaken's like, I gotta get this farm up here.
Bro, you take care of your own business.
That's like me every time I'm jungling. Team?
Yeah, right. You don't see these wolves? Come on. Looking real tasty, but another great win for the side of Right Click, and off the back of, again, some sketchy stuff coming out from Team 12. They decide to take that momentum that they had winning that skirmish, and they decide to transfer over the Rift Herald. Unfortunately, some great play from Right Click. They checked it out and came out with a lot there.
Yep, and now it looks like they are setting up for this second mountain break of the game, and if Team Right Click gets that, then you can just kiss that Baron goodbye if they have even 10 to 15 seconds on it with their composition with those buffs. It looks like they are going to claim it. They've got the vision, they've got the team. Oh, the final spark almost steals it away, but a good smite there from Slappy Pappy secures the objective.
Definitely, yeah. Thought it was the hand of God about to give a dragon over to the side of Team 12, but not quite. Rift Herald comes down onto the mid lane.
Yeah, they are choosing to channel that Rift Herald mid, as you said in game
There's
one.
A TP, actually, from best James Bond. He's showing up here in the mid lane.
There's the Glacial Prison there used, and they do find Soulbird. He's getting incredibly low, but the heal is there, and the Petrifying Gaze used as well. Nice Cataclysm there on the backside to pick up a kill onto Hopeseeker, and now Awaken is there on the backline. Picks up a triple kill, absolutely decimating the backline at Team 12, and that's going to be a almost clean ace. Only 2 members dropping on the side of Team Right Click.
Wow, Awaken popping off on the backline of Team 12, and I thought it was an insanely good Petrifying Gaze, but just could not make the difference in that team fight. You still had too much damage coming out. Like you said, Soulbert managing to make it out there alive, and he was able to DPS the entire fight, bot kill as well, and they are just 2 massive carries now.
Yeah, and credit to Focus for keeping Soulbert alive despite getting just hit by that Sejuani, glacial prison there. You know, using that wild growth, making sure he stayed alive so he can still dish out the DPS, and then all the while they were focusing Soulbert and paying their attention on him, Awaken just wreaks havoc into that one.
Definitely, and that's very frustrating if you are Team 12, because that looked like the engage. Like, that's the perfect target you want your Glacial Prison to land on. Unfortunately, that's the benefit of Lulu, and that's actually why a lot of people are frustrated when Lulu's strong in the meta. It's because no matter what you do, Lulu's whole point is to say, no, you're not going to make a pick on one of my teammates. I'm going to keep them alive. And unfortunately, it comes true here in this team fight.
Yeah, and 20 minutes into the game now, the Baron is live on the map. Team Right Click is setting up vision over there, clearing out the wards as well of Team 12. Awaken face checking this brush, but got the Aftershock. Permafrost going to be used there to stun up Awaken, but he's still going to stay healthy. Glacial Prison as well used onto him. Now the Miasma keeping him away. We can't talk for him, and now Awaken. Frozen Tombs himself to get that healing and stay alive. Is going to get out, maybe, but no. Looks like Team 12 might have found a good engage here. Hopeseeker going to go down, and Soulbert as well. Now Kit running for his life. He's going to go down despite picking up that double kill there. And that's going to be 4 members dead for Team 12, as Team Right Click only lost 2, and they could look to turn for this Baron.
What a flank. I'm not sure. I think that was from Awakened on the bottom side of all that, but actually managed to pick up a kill when I thought the momentum was in favor for Team 12. Did go in favor here for right click, and they're going to be shoving up another lane now. Might just go for the quick resets. I mean, it was a successful team fight, so they do have a lot of gold in their pockets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why they didn't just turn on the Baron there. I mean, the jungler and 3 other members of Team 12 were dead there. There was only the Lux up.
Right.
Didn't even have her ultimate available because she's just using that team fight. And they have double Mountain Drake with this really fed Corki.
Right.
So they could have just, with those 3 members, turned on the Baron and easily secured that for their team. I'm not sure why they didn't choose to do that, and instead they opted to just kind of push out the way they did. A little bit confusing.
Yeah, maybe just thinking that they had a successful push, but then when like all the boys are there, you're like, wait, we can't do this. So might have been that. Maybe they're just trying to play as cleanly as possible and not going for this somewhat risky Baron. I mean, hey, we've seen weirder plays, and that might have just been the montage for Lux right there. Unfortunately, going to be some safe play, and they still have control overall if you're on the side of Team Right Click.
And now the vodka with these double buffs looking to chase down Bond, just shredding through him right now. But the apprehend is used there. The decimate as well gets Vodkill about half HP. There's the guillotine gonna come through. It is. The bleed is there as well. Looks like Vodkill most likely will go down to the bleed. No, the wild growth saves him. And looks like he is gonna claim the kill almost. Oh my word, Best James Bond. No, he is gonna go down the flag and drag. Chilling Spite use as well. Solberg claims that kill. Hope Seeker now going to be the next one to fall from the Frozen Tomb. 2 dead now on Team 12 as they look to set their sights finally on the Baron.
That was a fight of seconds right there. You just barely were able to save Vodkill, and that sort of turned around the situation. The quicker rotations coming out from Team Right Click, and they pick up the Baron as well. That ultimate coming out from the Lux, the final spot not able to pick it up. And super unfortunate there coming out for the side of Team 12.
Yeah, I feel pretty bad for Best James Bond there because he played that pretty well in that 1v1 against the Vodkill, got the apprehend off, and was able to get the bleed damage, and then, you know, his team shows up to save him. You know, so credit to Team Right Click. I mean, they got the better team play. It just feels a little bit bad for Best James Bond, you know, in that 1v1.
Yeah, the only one I can credit in that fight, to be honest, first of all, it was quick rotation, but the only one that I can really credit is Fo, because she was able to make it there right on schedule to save her Corki, and that did end up turning around the momentum, putting the fit into the hands of Right Click. They have the Baron now, picked up, I believe, another dragon.
Yes, they
it was the Cloud. Okay.
Second Cloud to their name, so going to enable those quick rotations with their Baron buff, so they can apply some split pressure.
Right, and this is looking a lot like last game where you have Team 12 in a very bad situation, and it looks like their only opt is to engage, but it's so hard to engage against this team, right? You have great zoning from the Lysandra, and you have the Lulu there to protect the picks, the initial picks that are going to come out from Team 12, so very tough situation.
Yeah, and you've got some great siege here, you know, from Team Right Click with the Bioarcane Barrage from the Kog'Maw combined with that Corki poke with the Missile Barrage. You can see they're trying to poke of their own from Team 12, but there's just no damage to them. They're looking for an engagement here while Lysandra was not in the picture. They landed on the Vodkill, but now Solver has been the target. Looks like they're trying to burst him down, but they can't find it. Best James Bond has found the back line, though. Knox does land. Best James Bond looking for the resets. Gets another one. A double kill going over to him. The shutdown. And now it looks like Slappy Pappy going to be next to fall. Flash is out. Can the Scorch get him? It will. The tick kills him, and triple kill going over to Best James Bond as he gets those resets with the guillotine.
Wow, I thought it was a bit of an overextension coming out from Hope Seeker, but just trying to get enough damage down, and then it was Best James Bond coming in for the cleanup, but Awakened here.
Oh, Awakened looking for a kill there, but does not have, well, does have the Frozen Tomb, but not quite in range. Going to use that Glacial Pass to get out. But wasn't there to help support his team in that bottom lane engagement.
Yeah, you're completely right. It was a 4v5, but I still props to Team 12 finding a really solid engage, and I don't even know if it would have been any different if you had 5 members. It's definitely possible that you could have had Lysandra there to lock down the Darius. We'll never know, though. Nice team fight win overall for Team 12, and they get money into some good pockets. I mean, Darius picking up 3 kills, I believe, is going to feel pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that Team Right got caught a little bit with their pants down on that siege. You know, their top laner didn't teleport to match or roam to match because the TP was not up for Awakened. So
Yeah.
Best James Bond was able to just kind of come in with that TP and get an excellent flank up, which is
Yeah.
pretty rare, especially for the Darius. But you know, credit to him for finding that kid. Now they do find the Petrifying Gaze
Another
onto
pick.
Focus, and she's going to get picked off. So now Team 12 looking to find the engagement on the hunt. Use as well the Glacial Prison. Awaken is the next one to fall. Double kill going to the Best James Bond. Hopeseeker getting really low. He's going to fall, but Slappy Pappy surely will as well. The boomerang blings are bouncing around. There's another kill going over to Kit. Now they're chasing down Solbert, looking to find what they can. But in the end, it's going to be 3 kills for 1 in the favor of Team 12.
Yeah, definitely. And bit closer of a team fight, actually. I mean, you did have the quick onto, I believe it was Focus there. Yeah, onto Focus there. And it still looked like you have a long way to go competing with the DPS coming out from Bodkill and Solber. They were able to just edge out. So 3 for 1 for Team 12. And this is exactly how they need to play, right? They need to find situations where their Darius is in the right position. And you could see it, like neither of the carries could enter that fight once you had Best James Bond in the middle of it all. Oh, bod kill.
Oh no, Kit caught out farming the wave bottom.
Yeah,
it's gonna go. Who hasn't been there, right? Every AD carry has been there.
Oh,
waiting for the
man.
wave.
Yeah, I mean, like you need the gold, but at the same time, you also need to live. Like, I don't care how many items you have. If you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah, that is a rough one. Gonna be dead for another 20 seconds or so as Team Reichler looks to use this opportunity to push out the waves. They've got Corky down their bot kill, sieging up the bottom side. Going to be using this Trinity Force procs as they also look for the 4 members to seek mid. They do find the pick on the Compulse, and now that's 2 members dead for Team 12, and they're trying to find something on the backside of this. The Glacial Prison used Awaken, though, is buying some time with the Zod. There's a great flag and drag knockup onto 2, will save his life by Slappy Pappy, and he is slapping away on the Best James Bond. The Cataclysm used. The Best James Bond is dominating. Look for the resets, but can't find it. Gets bursted down, and now Kit is in a bad position. Gonna go down again just as he respawns. The Quadra kill going over to Solberg, and it looks like that is going to be all she wrote for this series switch.
Yeah, you're completely right, and so close. You saw some great team fights coming out for Team 12, and they had the momentum going for them. Unfortunately, a couple slips, a couple mistakes, and Team Right Click, they're able to pick up this game.
Yes, they will. And with a 2-0 fairly convincing win here, they are going to become the first senior victors of the Risen Esports Dominate Open League Season 6.
Totally, and man, I thought Team 12, they were finding their stride, but you saw some sketchy positioning and a capitalization on the Cassiopeia coming out from Compulse. It was Awaken that engaged that. They found a quick pick, and it was sort of all over from there. You found the re-engages, but it just was not synced up. If you saw, Kit actually entered the fight when it was practically over, unfortunately. And I think maybe if they were a bit more synced up, maybe if they were a bit more respectful with their position, they still had a great chance in this game. But overall, solid play and very decisive victory coming out from Team Right Click.
Yeah, and you know it is a bit disappointing because you saw Team 12. You know they had those windows of opportunity there. You know when they were successful is because they were finding picks. The problem is that you know when you have this type of composition that relies on getting picks, you need vision. And you know they were able to set up some vision. You know that's how they were successful at times. But you know when you're that far behind, it's very difficult. And so they really just didn't have a lot of opportunities to be able to pull off those picks. And when it was more of a standard front to back type team fight, you saw that Team Right Click had the better composition for that with their double marksman backline and the Lissandra Jarvan kind of going in to disrupt and be the front line.
Mm-hmm. Completely. And, you know, I think we got to look back to the pick and ban stylistically here and say, listen, Team Right Click, they picked like essentially like the same comp twice in a row, right? And you could look at that and be like, oh, that's their comfort. And maybe they're very comfortable playing that type of style. Maybe that's their go-to. And on the other hand, on the pick and ban phase, we saw a lot of reactions coming out for the side of Team 12 and maybe not picking a composition that overall made the most sense, right? Like you could look at the draft and say, well, I don't really see the point in the Lux right now. I don't see that as a hard counter to the Kog'Maw or the Corki. Like Sure, it does enable you to make a couple more picks, but there's a lot of other champions that can help you do that. And the team composition as a whole, like it's solid. I just don't know if it was their comfort, if that's what is their go-to. And I think looking forward to more pick and bans from Team 12, probably just focusing on what you want and not trying to react too much.
Yep, and with that win in their pocket, looks like Team Replica is going to advance to 1-0 on Season 6, and Team 12, of course, at 0-1. Conversely, who are we giving the MVP to do this game, Switch?
You know what? I'm going to have to give it to Solbert. I think he had solid performances on both games. I mean, it was the Tristana, and he had that one crucial mistake that I completely agree on by that Baron pick game 1. But overall, the rest of the game, super solid from him. You saw no other real mistakes in positioning. He was always playing in the right team fights. And this game 2, he really popped off on, especially towards the end when he was given this extra time from his team to auto attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's real hard to, I think, single out one person for MVP. I think Solbert is a good candidate for that, for the reasons you mentioned. But, really a team effort here from Team Right Click. Nobody slouching really on their team at all. And, it was a team effort that carried them to their 2-0 series victory. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, to week 1 of the Risen Esports Dominate Open League Season 6. We're going to have plenty more series and games to come this season. So be sure to continue to tune in at twitch.tv/risen_esports. I'm Genre. Casting with me has been Switch. On the production side has been Rando Joe. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.